Okay, chapter 4.2, dealing with exponents. And for exponents, what you can do is just think of repeated multiplication. Repeated multiplication. And, I abbreviate. You can abbreviate as much as possible, much as you wish. Or you could also think of it as, instead of repeated multiplication, you could think of it as repeating the base. So repeated multiplication or repeating base. All right, so whenever you see a number or variable and it has a number above it, that's called the exponent. So in this case, 6 is the exponent, and the number 2 here is considered the base. So that's what we mean by repeating the base, or repeating this number. So that's your exponent, that's your base. Now the whole thing here, 2 to the 6th power, it's referred to as a power. So when you see this, a number with an exponent, the whole thing is considered a power. That's the base. The bottom's the base. The top there is the exponent. All right, so let's do some examples. So let's take that 2 to the 6th and let's simplify it. Well, 2 to the 6th, remember I said that exponents, we're dealing with repeating the base. So we're going to repeat the base. There's the number 2, it's a base, and we're going to do it 6 times. 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the easiest way to multiply these is instead of going 2 times 2 times 2, group them up. So for example, if I have 2 times 2, that's 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. This right here is 8. It's not 6, by the way, it's 8. And then you have another group of 2's, and that's also 8. So you just multiply those two together. 8 times 8. 8 times 8 is 64. So our answer is 64. So if you simplify 2 to the 6th, it's 64. Okay, now what happens if we have variables involved? And we want to write these, and we want to combine everything here. Okay, so let's see. As far as number-wise, all I have is -3. I have an A, and I have another A. So I have 2 A's. So you could write that as A squared. And I have 1 B. So see, there's nothing really to calculate on this. It's just kind of putting things together. So if we write this in terms of exponents, it would look like this. -3A squared B. This and that's the same thing. So what if we want to simplify this? Well, we really can't, huh? They're already spread out, but we can combine things together. So let's take a look at our numbers. I have a 4 and a 2. 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, that takes care of the numbers. Then let's take a look at the variables. Let's start with the letter A. How many A's do I have? I have 1, 2. So that'd be A squared. Now let's take a look at the B's. I have 1, so I'm going to write this down. I have 1, 2, 3 of them. So this and this is the same thing. It's just that this is more spread out. This is just kind of condensing things. And we're using exponents here. So we have to multiply the numbers together. this one, and that one. Okay, here's another one. We want to simplify. We want to put things together here. We have 3, an x, a 4, an x, and a y. They're all being multiplied. Well, let's put our numbers together. 3 times 4. That would be 12. Now let's look at our variables. Let's start with x. Let's go alphabetically. So letter x, I have 1, 2 of them. That would be the same thing as x squared then. And then as far as y's go, I just have 1 of them. Now sometimes you can, it's like it has the invisible 1 there basically. But we never put that down. So here's your answer right there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to answer with exponents. In other words, we see something like this, some expression, and we're going to have our answers with exponents. In other words, we're not going to simplify. We're just going to answer with exponents. So let's start with the very first one. So we're going to answer with exponents. So I have -5 times -5. All right, the base, I'm repeating the base here. What base am I repeating? -5. How many times am I repeating it? Twice. Now, notice I'm repeating the negative twice and the 5 twice. That's why I have it in the parentheses. All right, the next one. What am I repeating here? Am I repeating the negative? No, just the 5. So I am repeating the 5 twice. What about the negative? No, I'm not repeating that. All right? So the squared is not for the negative. The square is just for the 5. You could put parentheses around the 5 if you wish, but many times in textbooks or on tests, you'll see they will not do that because we know that the square is only for the 5. The 5 is repeating, not the negative. On the next one here, it looks like -2 is being repeated. -2 is being repeated once, twice, 3 times. So our exponent is 3. Now this one, it doesn't look like the negative is being repeated. Only the 2 is being repeated. The 2 is being repeated 3 times. Not the negative. And again, you can put, but there is a negative there. So you could put parentheses around just the 2. But again, in textbooks, they will not do that. They'll just put the negative on the outside. Okay, just take a break just for a minute. Look up here. And don't write any of this. Just look at these 2 problems. They're both the same, but they have different answers. Question to you is looking at it, which one of these is done correctly? Same problem, different answers. And that's a 36. Turns out, this is not correct. This is correct. 12 is a correct answer. Remember, in PEMDAS, we do the exponents before any multiplying or dividing. Exponents come first. So looking at this, notice that there was multiplying before there was doing the exponents. So 3 times 2 is 6. See that? That's not correct. You need to do exponents first. And then go left to right for multiply or divide. Here it is, divided by. See, it wouldn't do any good to do times before dividing either. Because if you did multiplication first, that would have been 8. 6 divided by 8, that doesn't work. You have to do division before the multiplication. Remember, you do multiply or divide, whichever comes first, going left to right. So in my notes, I just drew a line down there, and we're just going to do we're going to simplify 2 problems very quickly. So here's our first example. Please take a moment to write that down. Quantity 15 minus 3 squared divided by quantity 4 squared minus 2 times 7. Well, using PEMDAS, our first thing is to take care of the parentheses inside. So 15 minus 3, 15 minus 3 is 12. So we have 12 squared. Okay, for the other side, you're going to have 4 squared is 16 minus 2 times 7 is 14. Okay, now I'll take care of this. I'll do the exponents for any dividing. 12 squared, 12 times 12. Different color. 144. Bring down the divided by. And then I have this, 16 minus 16 minus 14 is 2. And so 144 divided by, that's just half. Half of 144. Half of 144 is 72. There's your answer. Okay, here's our last example. Well, let's take care of this exponent here, then we can do inside the parentheses. All right, 4 squared is 16. And then inside this parentheses here, we have 2 to the 5th minus 4 squared. Well, 4 squared is 4 times 4. That's 16. So we just have to figure out what 2 to the 5th is. All right, and to help you, I'll just do it over here to the side. That's 5 2s. And I know that 3 of those, if you take it into groups, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So that's 8. And then 2 times 2 is 4. So 8 times 4. That's what 2 to the 5th is. 8 times 4 is 32. Oops. So 2 to the 5th is 32. All right, so that leaves me with 16 divided by, and then 32 minus 16 is 16. And then 16 divided by 16 is 1. The loneliest number